Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. So we are cooking with Crisco, as they say, as we used to say in the 80s and the 70s. I have been dealing with a issue with my Mac since I got it and I downloaded Microsoft 365. And today I'm happy to report I fixed the problem. And no other than Chatty McChatterton helped me do it. It took a while. I think I started trying to fix it at about 8:30 and it is 10 o'clock now. So these are times when I spend too much time. So my morning started out, I woke up at 8:15, which is later than I usually do, but I am always super happy when my puppies allow me to sleep in. And that means I didn't get to go to my normal sobriety meeting. So I thought today would be a great day for me to use my new I'm holding it up, my new dictation device that I purchased for the purpose of writing my book. So that what I'm going to do is use I'm holding it up, Remarkable tablet and my digital recorder. And this is how I'm going to write my book and save my excruciating pain for other times. So I won't have to look at my computer. So as I was trying to export a Word document over to my Remarkable, I found that Remarkable, you have to turn something into a PDF before you can put it in the Remarkable tablet. So this is the issue I've been dealing with my Mac. My Word application would not export anything as a PDF, nor would it print directly from the app. So I had been working around that and ignoring the inevitable that I was going to need to address until today. I thought, well, this is unacceptable. Now I have to fix it. So I asked Chatty McChatterton, and we went through all of these different things and, turn off the computer, throw the computer out the window. I'm kidding, but different kinds of things to see if it fixed it. And nothing fixed it. I even reinstalled Microsoft, like deleted all the applications and reinstalled Microsoft 365, and it still didn't fix the problem. And but we didn't give up, me and Chatty. And he ended up recommending that I reset my printer settings. And so you do that by going to your system settings and then going to printers and scanners, and then right click on where you select your printers, and at the bottom of the pop-up it says reset printing settings or something like that, and it like deletes every memory it has of printers, and you start from scratch again, and it worked. So I'm super happy. That's going to make my whole entire day. Um, so now I'm ready to go. It's funny. What it reminds me of is when I was in this whole process of writing, writing a book, it reminds me of in early sobriety when I completed my step 3 to the best of my ability, and then I was willing to do step 4, I thought. But I wasn't, because I never picked up a pen and a piece of paper. This is a time when there are people that, like, what happened was all these gentlemen in my sobriety meeting, every time I saw them, they would give me a pen. They would hand me a pen. And it was just, implying like get started because a lot of people procrastinate on step 4. It's a time when we have to like actually look at our lives and our behavior and start taking some action about it, like start looking at it and talking about it. Um, and so why that reminds me of a book is like just this big, this is something that the only way it's going to get written is if I start writing it. And I continue to find different, like, okay, well, in order to do this, I'm going to need this and I'm going to need this and and the time that I'm spending preparing myself to write, I could be completing a lot of writing. But, the only difference is I did start writing and it was really excruciating on my head. So I needed to find another way to do it. So that's why I'm procrastinating, but it certainly reminds me of my step 4. And on that note, what I wanted to talk about today was I heard somewhere a couple months ago that we use the steps as a means to travel through our life. And I thought that is such a cool way of saying it because the the steps allow me to, I was going to say make me, but they allow me to, I get to travel through my life honestly rather than looking back with grief and looking back with fear and anxiety and depression, like all of my invisible illnesses, all of that stuff that drove me for so many years to drink because I wanted to feel numb, as I was talking about yesterday. Um, the steps are like a methodical way of helping me reflect on my life and practice acceptance, practice healing, practice letting go, practice learning from not only my mistakes, but learning from situations that I had no control over and and I didn't process it. And I simply drank over it. And I tried to make the memory go away. Guess what? They don't go away. For me, they don't go away. Now, lately, uh, my memories are going away, it seems, at a rapid pace. But that's okay. I think that that has to do with either age or my stroke or both. I'm not quite sure. It's happening at a pace that is concerning to me. Actually, like yesterday, I went out to dinner with my husband to our clubhouse in our new neighborhood, and it's my favorite place to go because it overlooks the water. And actually, the water ski club was out practicing their water skiing routine for the 4th of July celebration that's coming up at the end of June. And so it was really cool. Anyway, we were talking, and there were several times that he was like, "Do you remember when we fill in the blank?" And I was like, no, I don't remember that. Or, yeah, there was this restaurant that we went to that was at this such and such location. And I was like, I don't remember that at all. So, as much as it seems like my past seems to be erasing right now, um, that's what I was trying to do with drinking. I was trying to erase that stuff. And I wasn't erasing it. I was really getting trapped inside it. Um, so the steps allow me to go back and reflect and learn from it instead of being, yeah, all I can think of is like feeling trapped inside of it. Like, you ever think back on, I think several episodes ago I was talking about like sometimes I'll have a memory of something that I'm feeling shameful about that I've done in my past, and I'll start feeling like that panic that it's almost like I can feel like right there, like I'm right there and feeling like so shameful and panicked about it. And that's that feeling of being trapped inside a memory. So the steps allow me to make a decision, like I'm choosing to go back to a memory, and instead of having an emotional uh a constant emotional reaction from that memory, I can choose to go into the memory and stop fighting that it happened and more accept that it happened. That was Rachel version 1.0. And I have been I'm a new version. I'm a new version of me. And I've been making decisions um, that allow me to lead a different life, really. So I wanted to talk about that, how the steps allow us to walk through that. Like people who are not alcoholics, I believe this wholeheartedly, could go in and look at the steps and apply it to their lives without even talking about drinking, because it's such a fascinating journey to really evaluate your entire life and take things from it, leave things from it, talk to people about it, and figure out like that I don't have control over things that I used to think I was controlling. And having a higher power, whether you believe in God or not, you don't need to in order to have a higher power. It's just acknowledging that there is something else in control of this life, and it's not me. Um, it's either fate if you don't believe in God, or it's some sort of energy in the universe, or whatever it is. It's like acknowledging that and being able to admit that I can't control. And that all started with steps 1 through 3 is like stop fighting reality. That's number one. Just stop turning a turning what do you say? Turning a blind eye to what is actually going on in life. And then learn to admit that I can't control it. Become willing to trust in something outside of myself, like coming to terms with loss and illness and disappointment and unmet expectations, and in my case, addiction. So that's why I've been so passionate about applying the steps to my post-stroke recovery, because it's coming to terms with illness as well. Like I've had to come to terms with lots of invisible illnesses, mainly depression and anxiety. So why not come to terms with another invisible illness, which is my disability? So the steps 1 through 3, I've really been able to use them moving forward, in addition to be able to leverage them going backward and looking back at my life. But I don't want to live in my past. I want to make the choice to go back and revisit a memory and make choices on how I'm going to save that memory. It's kind of like I'm going to choose which I'm going to choose which filing system in my computer to save that file. That's the same thing. Like I'm going to choose where I'm going to save that memory. Am I going to save it in my dark place, which is what I was doing for so many years, or am I going to save it in an area in my brain where I save learned experiences? Um, and then, so coming to terms with all of these things that happened in my past, um, creates a peace, a serenity that we will know serenity. That's what the program says. And that is exactly what happened to me because I stopped arguing what with what already is. I'm accepting, I'm looking back and being like, okay, that happened. And I've got to find a way to disconnect feelings of shame from that memory. And then, so moving forward, this is interesting. Moving forward through steps 4 and 5, that was where the rubber met the road, really. That's where I intentionally, and that's why people kept giving me pens. I intentionally needed to go back and start looking at my relationships and start examining like my resentments and my fears and my wounds. And I I was told to look at the pattern. Stop blaming everyone else for my suffering and begin seeing my unhealthy thinking and repeated patterns. Where was I using my emotional survival skills that were deceiving me? You know what I mean? Like those emotional survival skills, I mean, is like when I think back at a memory and it starts to cause a emotional reaction, um, that emotional reaction is me trying to protect myself without me even knowing. Like, I did not think I had control at all over how I reacted to my own memories. And for me, that's an emotional survival skill. But realizing through steps, step 4 by looking back at it, and step 5 by talking to somebody about it, realizing that those emotional survival skills, quote unquote, are no longer serving me. And I get to start sharing those memories and that identification of my unhealthy patterns with another human being. And when I get to do that, it starts to remove the shame and isolation, mainly because I get to hear another person say, "Oh, that happened to me too." And sorry, I'm doing things with my I have an obsession with my fingers and like the skin around my fingers. I'm always like picking it. I know, TMI. But what I've started to do is use these little clippers that they have at the um, when you go get your nails done. That's what the lady told me. Oh, I totally shiny coined this moment. But and instead of like picking, like I use these to address it so that I'm not, yeah, doing unhealthy that. So sorry. Um, I kept moving. If you're looking at the screen, I kept moving. That's what I was doing. I was reaching for those little plier looking things. Okay. Sorry, I'm not going to delete that section either of the episode because it's live action here. So healing began when I started surfacing those secrets. When I started like taking the things that I was hiding in my dark place and shining a light on them. But I didn't have to do it by myself. Like when I finally sat down with a pen and I wrote down, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want anybody to ever see my mysterious, unique secrets. I didn't want to write them down because I didn't want anybody to see them. And I've learned through step 5 initially that by talking about those things, they weren't as mysterious and unique as I thought they were. So I got to start looking back, and that's where that shame started to detach a little bit um, from the memory. And then step 6 and 7 is like, okay, what are those memories and that shame that is connected to them that's starting to untether itself? What does that typically cause me to do? Like, what are the behaviors, the character defects? That's where character defects come in. What is the behavior that has been learned from those experiences that I could change? Because I can't change the experiences. And I can't change the fact that in the future, I may or may not experience those types of things again. But what I can change is the shame that's tethered to the memory and the behavior that that shame causes me to continuously do. That's the pattern. So when I get to these steps, 6 and 7, I am acknowledging that power outside of myself that I can't control what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen. Because there is a higher power. There's something outside of myself that is running the show, and it's not me. So once start talking, I continue to talk through all these things, that I can start looking at my pride a little more humbly, like acknowledge my fears and stop feeling sorry for myself and stop being resentful towards other people. That's where willingness starts uh have producing results. From that willingness, I am starting to progress in learning from my memories rather than allowing my memories to shame me. And it requires a lot of humility, um, because I don't want to be talking to another human being about my memories and feel like I need to defend myself. I want to go back and look at my memories and grow from them. And the great thing about it is that in my sobriety program, we're all there for a common purpose because we want to get sober and stay sober and help another suffering alcoholic to do the same. Um, so when we acquire a sponsor together, we have the same goal, and that is to humbly share our experiences with one another, humbly ask for character defects to be removed, which is really being willing, and truly having faith that there's something outside of myself running the show, and then growing from the memories. There's nobody in my experience, and I'm sure that it differs over throughout the world, but nobody in my experience that have I run across that doesn't have the same goal as me, which is for me and her to grow. Um, and we get to use my experiences and her experiences. How great is it to be able to learn from a bunch of experiences that I didn't have to go through, a bunch of suffering. Like I I learn the most from adversity. So what's great is I can learn from others' adversity as well and grow exponentially faster than if I'm just trying to grow from my own experiences. So then we get to steps 8 and 9 where I've actually I get to make peace with my past. So what I've been doing thus far is really surfacing it, like pulling it out of my dark place and like setting it out to look at it and talk about it and recognize, how did this make me feel? What did it make me do? How did I behave? What what did my behavior, what impact did my behavior have on others, uh, based on how, how I behave? And then steps 8 and 9, I get to make peace with it. So I face the harm that I caused and the pain that I carried, and I stop trying to mentally rewrite history or avoid responsibility. And I get to make amends. Um, I get to not shamefully approach other people, but willfully and um, with integrity, like intentionally. The goal is not for me to approach people and bow to them and and admit my shame, but it's acknowledging my behavior and only my behavior. I don't need to, as much as I want to, and this is the hard part, is I'm not blaming them for any of their role. Everybody's got a role in relationships and what happened, but the path to freedom from the shame and the guilt and the resentment is to look at it, acknowledge it. Yes, this happened. This was my part in it, and talk about my part in it. Letting go of the bitterness of the people who hurt me. I think that's really difficult. And I think that there are several people in my past that I still feel, it's not like I forget that they hurt me. But it's knowing what to do with that. If I start feeling resentful, then I can always go back and work through the steps again and and untether those emotional responses from the memory of the experience. And then steps 10 and 11 are like moving forward and taking what I've learned and what I've let go of. And instead of like repeating them, I get to live differently. So steps for me, steps 10 and 11 give me a blueprint for living. Like, what can I do with thoughts and motives and reactions, like becoming more aware of them. And instead of impulsively reacting the way that I used to, I pause and I try to remember to pray. And I feel like I'm better at praying with gratitude than I am with asking for help. I don't really, that's because of habit. I'm still not really great at it. Uh, I think for me, I'm better at, and I'm not even good at this, at picking up the phone and asking for help rather than closing my eyes and asking for help because I just, I guess I'm still on my faith journey. And sometimes when things are really difficult, it's hard for me to just think that some magical force is going to help me, but I get to choose that. And that's what steps 10 and 11 help me with is knowing that instead of my impulsivity driving my behavior, I'm choosing other ways that I can choose faith over fear. I can work on it. I can practice it. That's why they say practice. I never knew that. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. Like when they talk about, for example, practicing yoga, I always thought of yoga as like not well, I guess almost like a sport, where you just do it. You learn how to do it and then you do it. It's like, but you actually never perfect it. Like you're practicing it. And that's what faith is too. You're practicing faith. So I get to continue to practice faith and and letting that override my fears. I'm practicing peace over chaos. I'm practicing honesty over avoidance. So these steps 10 and 11 are great at it, at helping me, like freeing me from that obsessive thinking and those emotional spirals that I feel like um, I can't I can't stop what's happening. So as much as I can't stop what's happening externally, I can't stop the spiral that's happening internally. But the steps have helped me do that in some a magical way. That's what's magical is the steps and how the guidance that's in them. If I really if I'm in the middle of an emotional spiral, go to a meeting or open the literature and read about what do you do? What do you do in this time? Like the answer is in the big book. It's pretty amazing. And then we get to steps 12, where I get to turn that experience of going through the steps into purpose. And I get to then do what my sponsor helped me do, and that's using those steps to help others live through their experiences and prepare themselves for the future and how to do the things that I've learned how to do and continue to share my experiences. And now my experiences are not all dark. Now I'm starting to have experiences where I am able to more easily turn that pain into something useful instead of it's just wasted energy. So being of service to others helps me stay connected to the fellowship and the steps themselves and continue to practice being grateful and emotionally healthy. Um, Sometimes when I talk to someone else who's practicing the program, that just simply reminds me of how far I've come, how I've learned how to accept my past and let go of the things that I need to let go of, bring forward in my pocket the things that are gonna help me, the lessons, um, and then continue to learn how to address things that I naturally want to ignore, learn from my pain and make healthier choices. The steps have given me freedom to travel through my past and not obsess about it. And as you know, I've talked a lot about it recently about this obsessive thinking and stuff. And um, so that is just proof that it's progress and not perfection because I can still fall back into those obsessive thoughts, fears, and behaviors, like the patterns that I have lived over and over and over again that keep me stuck. Like it's like what comes first, the thought or the character defect? I don't know because it's just so habitual how my emotions are attached to my behavior. So, practicing the steps and continuing to live them every day has definitely resulted in a more emotionally free way of life. And that has helped me immensely in my stroke recovery. So, thank you for joining me today, and I will talk to you next time.